There seems to be an attitude where we are absolutely fascinated and committed to the idea that we can't understand. Maybe it took many years to implant this idea in people's minds. You'll never understand. You're talking about something mystical, something endless, beyond. We don't understand. People are so comfortable with that. And I'm sure it took plenty of effort before people got the message that you know what you're talking about? How do you expect to understand this? So now when we do try to understand, it's like, nah. Because if you understand, so what don't we understand? Like, we've got to have something we don't understand. You can't take that away from people. So if you say we understand God himself, then what's left to not understand? So we're protecting our ignorance. You got to protect your ignorance. You can't just give up on not knowing. So here's what we don't know. When we say, does it matter to God? What does matter mean?
Affect. Something more than one.
Not affect.
Does he care?
We know he cares, but does it matter?
Does it diminish or increase
Does it diminish or increase? What's the answer?
somebody?
Like children say, what, is he going to die if I don't do the mitzvah? He's going to cry? What's going to happen? Right. So having pleasure or not having pleasure, does it really matter? Say you want to have pleasure. Huh? See, this is what we can't begin to imagine, because it's hard to understand even for ourselves. What matters to you?
Things that we value matter to us.
But we usually interpret it as effect, loss, or increase. In other words, when we say something matters, we don't really understand how it matters. We see the consequences. We don't like the consequences. So a child will say, it matters to God. It's important. What, is he going to die? It's not his death that matters. It's the mitzvah that matters. Yeah, but is he going to die? You see, you're not focusing. So if something is important to you because without it you're going to die, then is it important or is your life important? So anything that is outcome-based means you're more concerned with the outcome than with the thing. Like, for example, you have to breathe. What's going to happen if you don't breathe? Oh, you're going to die. But if I could live without breathing, wouldn't I? Wouldn't that be even better? So if you say, without mitzvahs, God will die. Oh, so he doesn't really need the mitzvah, he just doesn't want to die. Which means that if he didn't need the mitzvah and could live without it, then he'd rather. But then the mitzvahs don't matter, essentially, right? So we're always understanding the importance of A because of the consequences B, C, D, and so on. So we don't even know, if you were to try to describe to yourself, what matters to you, and there are no consequences. Just it matters. So where do we even get this notion that maybe it's not important to him? Just the very fact he did it. Doesn't that make it absolutely important? No, how do you know? Maybe he... So even though it's a silly assumption, but it's been around for a long time, because all the early idolaters all believed that he created this world, but he has more important things. which is silly. How can the Eibishter have more or less important things? Like, this is a little project. He also has big projects. But the fact is that that's how people have, for all of history, people have believed this. Ozav Hashem es haaretz, God created the world, but he moved on to other things. That's classical idolatry. So at best, if we had to try to find some example in our lives, if your mother doesn't love you, you're going to die? No. If your mother doesn't love you, you can't function. Yeah, you can. So, what's so terrible if your mother doesn't love you? What are the consequences?
Your relationship won't flourish.
More than that. It was the consequences.
Hmm?
Consequences are
You feel
more than
incomplete.
that.
You feel incomplete. Maybe. I would.
Why? You're more of a mensch than your mother. You're more capable than your mother. What do you care if she doesn't love you? So I think that gets close to, it matters absolutely, and yet there are no consequences. Oh, if she doesn't love me, then I guess she'll take me out of the will. No, you're not worried about the will. Well, if she doesn't love me, then I'll never find a shidduch. Well, you'll find a shidduch. There's no consequence. But your mother doesn't love you? So when we say it matters to God, our first thoughts are, yeah, what's going to happen? It's not what's going to happen. It matters. Not some byproduct, not some incidental consequence. It matters. Now, to say that it matters to God doesn't sound right. Because what could this it be that is so important that it matters to him? So that's our second mistake. How important can this be that God himself should care?
What's the this? Sorry?
Whatever.
Okay.
Anything. How can anything be so important that it matters to him?
He made it matter.
What does that mean?
He decided that it should be.
He decided.
If it didn't matter, he wouldn't have created it. Why would he bother?
And we're going in circles.
Right.
The answer is, there is nothing that could possibly be important to him. So he says in the Maimer, you can shecht an animal from the front of the neck or you can shecht it from the back of the neck. What makes you think he cares? What in the world is so important about shechting it this way or shechting it that way that it should matter to him? It's preposterous. Oh, no, not that way. not that way, this way. Come on. So this is what the Rebbe is saying. Nothing is important and therefore matters to God. It matters to God and therefore it's important. But we've got to get that clear into our brains because we keep tripping up on it. But how could that be important? It matters to him, that makes it important. But it, and the scary thing is, the Rebbe uses the example, he's actually quoting, does it make a difference to him whether you shecht from the front and the back? Does it make a difference to him if all of mankind is wiped out? No. With exactly the same disregard. It's as the existence of human beings on earth is as insignificant as whether you shecht from the front or you shecht from the back. That's how infinitely distant the creation is from the Creator. Nothing about creation can possibly be important.
And why is there halacha?
About what?
About what says?
About anything.
Yeah.
Good question. So if God says, shech the animal from the front, and you say, oh, come on, don't be petty. But if God says, thou shalt not murder, oh, that's... No, it's not. It's the same pettiness. It's like saying, don't murder a person by killing him from the front, shoot him from the back. Oh, no, not from the back. That's not nice. Shoot him. Be a mensch. Shoot him from the front. It's the same insignificance.
Just makes our lives a lot more complicated. Like,
No, so therefore, when the Torah says, thou shalt not murder, it's as mysterious as God saying, shecht an animal from the front. But we have this habit. Yeah, not murder. Well, of course. Well, that's important. Important to whom? To the guy who doesn't want to be killed. Not so important to the guy who's doing the killing. So certainly not to him. So let's ask the question on a larger scale. What difference could it possibly make to him whether you exist or not? No, that didn't come out right. What can your existence possibly mean to him that you should be important to him?
one more time?
How important can you possibly be that God should take notice?
In the eyes of him or in the eyes of me?
The eyes of him. So you see what's wrong with my question? How important are you that he should notice? The answer is, you're not. He, huh?
It's because he cares about us that we are in some kind of way important.
That's right. Now, if he cares about you, how important are you? Huh?
Very.
Unimaginably. What? There's no limit. There's no end. The argument gets even stronger. Since you really are not important, you have no significance, you have no justification for your existence even, and he wants you? So the fact that you are so insignificant makes it more impressive.
No, but I am important because he decided that I matter. So that is not,
Okay.
that's not a real question.
No. If there was some, I don't know, if there was some logical reason for you to be, and he agrees with that reason,
But that's backwards. 'Cause it's
but then you're only as important as that reason. But when there's absolutely no reason, but he wants, then you're absolute like him.